Now, Poland became a member of NATO in 1999, and 1999 is relevant because that year the alliance was faced with another crisis that was beyond its borders. Less than 2 weeks after Poland joined NATO, NATO began a bombing campaign against Yugoslavia with the goal of getting the Serbian ruler Slobodan Milosevic to pull his forces out of neighboring Kosovo, where he was massacring Kosovo Albanians in a campaign of ethnic cleansing. And it was right in the middle of that bombing campaign and ongoing negotiations to try to strike a deal with Milosevic that this happened.
Now the war over Kosovo and the dramatic development that was formally announced today. Slobodan Milosevic has been indicted as a war criminal by the International Tribunal in The Hague.
Milosevic and 4 of his top lieutenants are charged with the mass murder of 340 Kosovo Albanians, the deportation of 740,000, and still more charges are likely. But Secretary of State Madeleine Albright suggests instead of dealing with Milosevic, he should be removed from power to stand trial before the World Court in The Hague.
We have made clear that we would not go for any kind of immunity.
Now, that was the first time in history that a head of state had been indicted for war crimes. And U.S. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright said Milosevic would face justice, no immunity deals. She would go on to institute a policy of withholding U.S. aid to Yugoslavia unless they handed over Milosevic for prosecution, a strategy which ultimately worked. Slobodan Milosevic was extradited to The Hague in 2001. When he died in 2006, his trial on charges of genocide was ongoing. Madeleine Albright, America's first female Secretary of State, was herself a child of European strife. Born in Czechoslovakia in 1937, her family fled the country twice, first from the Nazis, then from the Soviets. Just a couple of days after Milosevic was indicted, Albright delivered a commencement address at Georgetown University and said this.
The great lesson of this century is that when aggression and brutality go unopposed, like a cancer they spread, and what begins as a treatable sickness in one part of the body can rapidly endanger the whole.
That was 1999, the very end of the century she was describing, and the implicit hope was that by learning the lessons of the 20th century, its horrors could be avoided in the 21st. Madeleine Albright died today. She was 84 years old. Flags have been lowered to half-staff at the White House in her honor, and her death comes on the day that the U.S. president is arriving in a Europe once again facing war to meet with NATO leaders facing their greatest crisis in decades.